Hi guys, welcome to Lee Valley and Engage. I'm Stu, and this week I thought we'd take a little bit of a break from the wiring, even though we've still got more to do. But we'll actually try and have a go at installing some point motors because these need to be put in, especially with the double slip. We need to sort them out and to show you how to actually install them. These are the PECO point motors, and yeah, so let's see how we do this. So wiring is still in progress, as you can see. And I thought, as we've got the board down and we've taken it away from the wall, I thought I'd have a go at doing some of the point motors. So that's what we're going to do in this video this week. We're just going to focus on the point motors. The wiring will show you at another point. I'll give you a little update about that at the end of the video. So first things first with the point motors is that you would have needed to have drilled a hole through the baseboard before or as you were laying the track. So that's what I've managed to do with all of this. That's what these holes are. These two are for the holes for the point mode, for the double slip. Now, these ones are going to be done slightly differently. These might be a video all by itself, just installing the point motors, and because they have switches on the back of them to deal with the frogs. So we will deal with that in a completely different video. We're just going to focus on the main points, which are these holes here. And there's a few on this board, this section as well. Also thinking of putting these in because like these ones are going to be in the way of the wiring, so it'd be good just to make sure that they're in away from the wiring and everything. So that's what we're going to do. So that's the main thing of where we're going to start with that. So let's get the point motors out and we'll have a look at which ones I'm using, and then we can have a look at how they're installed. So these are the turn-up motors that we're going to be using. These are the PL-10E. These are the extended pin one. As you can see, that pin is massive, sticking out there. And these are for baseboards which don't act, baseboards that you can so you can make sure it's extended through the actual motor. It's not the motor, actually extended through the baseboard, because mine have got quite a thickness. The baseboards are quite thick. That's why I've got these. So that we can make sure that the point motor will actually change the points and not be stuck below it and not do anything else with it. So that's what we've got that for. As you can see, you've got several different features of it. So there's the actual pin itself, which is this one, that's the drive pin. It does also extend out the bottom, and that's for accessory switches to do with like changing point frogs and stuff, which will be covered more when we do the double slip in another video. We've got connections for the actual motors, for the power connectors. And then we've got these long spindly bits out here. Now these are for connecting the motor to either the points or to a blanking plate, which I will show you, which come like this. These come as a separate fitting. These are PL9, these are the mounting plates. As you can see, they've got the actual holes in already. There's a nice hole and slot for the center pin. And also you've got some screw fixing holes as well. These do come with screws, which I can't actually see in here at the moment, but they do come with screws, some brass screws. So they will be what we use to fix these in. As you can see, here's one I've made earlier. These are from the previous layout, the layout when we dismantled it. So this is what they actually look like fully, and with the blanking plate already attached. So these tabs just slot through and then you bend them into the tabs. The pin itself has been cut down, although I think I need to cut these down slightly further. So that's going to be a job which is going to be fun. One thing I also found is that you might need to open up the hole in the tie bar as well. So these are solenoid motors. I use all the stuff that PECO recommends to use them. I've used them quite a bit. They seem to be quite reliable. I've heard that these are incredibly reliable point motors. Obviously, that all depends on what your preference is. Some people have tortoise, some people have... there's another one that DC Concepts does, which is a solenoid motor. I'm not sure if that's sort of like a copy of this. It kind of looks like it, with the wires already attached. So, yeah, just whichever one you prefer. The holes as well will be a slightly different diameter depending on which you get. These are 10mm holes. So basically a centimetre diameter hole. I think these won't actually pull across that much, but I did have smaller holes on the previous one. They worked fine, but some of them didn't actually fire properly when I changed the points. So yeah, that wasn't exactly great, but yeah, majority of them worked fine and worked okay every time. But yeah, we'll just have to give that a go and see what happens with them later on. So let's get some of the tools out that we need, and we can start installing these. Okay, so one of the first things we're going to do is we're just going to get the point motor itself, and we're just going to slot it through and just see how much we need to cut off of this. Now this has been cut already, so it is smaller than the other ones would be. I thought we'd use this one just to save some time. So we're just going to lift it up. I've got the light already in position. And now I just got to hope that it appears on the camera, which it isn't really. Okay. Take a little bit of thing to try and hold this. So you can see here, oops. So you can see here's the point. I don't know if you can just see that there is, if I lift the motor out, just see it there. So we need to take a little bit off. It's probably actually not too bad. So we'll try it through straight away. And then we'll try that. So the point motor itself is actually here. Sorry, as that's trying to refocus in. So yeah, so just give that, we'll just have a look at that. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to fit, oops, not the easiest way of shooting that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to mark it up, and then we're going to fit it. Now I find that the easiest way to mark this up is making sure that the point motor itself is actually in line with the point underneath. So the points are always going to, the track is running at, running this way. Sorry, the track is running this way. So we need to make sure that the point motor is running at a right angle, because otherwise if they're at a slight angle, they might misfire the point, because they can't throw it all the way across, or they can throw it all the way across in one direction, but they can't throw it back. So that's what we're going to do. A lot of these points as well on this layout are going to be dual action points, because we've got a lot of crossovers. So they would only be fired, the points would only be changed at the same time of the same lever. So that's what we're going to do. So right, first of all, we're just going to sort this out, I'm going to get everything to a better position, so then we can start marking this up, and then do that as the first one. So here's the tie bar, which is of the point. You can just see there's a hole there. That is for the actual point motor fitting itself. So what we're going to do is we're just going to have to drill a hole in it. Honestly, it is still there. I'm just trying to get this into the right. It's just the light is deciding it doesn't want to cooperate. So here's the actual drill bit itself. So we're just going to drill out a hole. There we go. It's gone all the way through now. Just drilling out the hole very, very slightly to allow the point motor to actually sit inside it. And so all we're going to do now is just pop the point motor in. Notice that I'm actually holding the point motor fully on one side. Just going to pop it in like that. So we make sure the shaft itself, so the actual shaft of the actual, so actually the point motor itself is actually going to sit in the hole of the actual tie bar. As you can see there, let's get that out of the way. You can see there, it's very nice and flush. We're just going to hold it down, give it a little movement. There we go. Maybe we might move it just slightly back. Okay, so that's pretty good. So what we're going to do now, if I can get the camera to stand up correctly, which it's probably not going to. There we go. is just mark the holes. Now they actually are at right angles, so this one is sort of facing that way and then the other one faces that way. So what we're going to do is we're just going to scribble a little line, make sure it's all nice and lined up, which it is, and then just marking up the holes. As you can see there, we've got 2 marks now, one here and one here. And then in the middle of these marks, we're just going to drill out, just going to drill a very small hole for the brass screw. Using this because I don't want to over drill it with the power drill, so make sure that was the same width, same thing. So this is to help actually us to get the right, see if we've got the right length of the actual so there we go. So there's both of the most of them out of the way, and I've got to make sure it's in the right hole again. So just refitting the motor again. This is how I do it. Can't say I've fitted massive amounts of point motors, to be fair. I just realised that that isn't fully square. There we go. And then just a very simple thing of putting in the actual brass screw, and it's kind of a weird one really. We need to make sure it's flush. I also realised that I'm actually using the controller, the actual screwdriver, to hold the thing, to hold the camera up, which is great. So let's just do that, take that out. So here's the screw there. All we need to do is just screw it in, which I'm sure you've seen quite a few times of people screwing in screws, or know how to screw in screw. Frantically trying to find something I can use to wedge this, which I can't find. There we go, that's better. It's always good fun shooting these videos. It's just the fact that my stand actually broke, so it's always interesting trying to get my phone to actually stand up in the right way. So one of the things is with these screws, I find if you're using something like this, like I'm using plywood, it's best to pre-drill the hole, because otherwise you get to a point like this and the screw doesn't properly want to bite. So we just want to get the screw in to a reasonable degree, and then hopefully it will hold the motor in. It's kind of odd with this because I don't want the screw popping out the other side of this, but at the same time I want it to make a nice fitting on the actual, on the motor. It's on the actual point motor, the plate, so it actually holds it in position. The other problem is that the brass does sometimes, I found, like especially last time I was doing this, the brass was kind of starting to be nibbled away. You can actually see on these are those screws, the older screws that I had and reusing them. The heads have been slightly worn away a little bit from the actual, from my screwing them in last time. Not the easiest of things to go in, as you can see by the fact that my screwdriver is just really not wanting to do this. I mean, let's give you a better view of that. I just started doing that and didn't even realise what the angle, what the view was. So I'll put that in. So this is literally just to, as I said before, this is literally just to try and work out how long we are supposed to make, how to make sure that this is actually cut. Now I hope, this is the thing, is that I hoped that these were going to be the right length, but I think they're very, very tiny. They're very minusculely is not even the right word, but they're only just short enough. Now I had to cut some of the ones for the other board, the canal board, quite a bit because that had a much thinner base than the one I used previously. So this is the first point motor in. That's what I was using to hold the thing up. So we're just going to have a little look on the underside and see how far it's come out. So let's stop the video there and I'll show you that. So here we go. Here it is. And here's the point motor. As you can see, it's just sticking out there. So you can just see there's a tiny little tie bar there, just sticking up. Now it's not too bad. I personally would like it roughly the same as the other tie bar. So what we're just going to do is we're just going to get a coach or two and we're just going to run it along it and just check to see if there is any fouling of the actual section. So where's my handy point motor again? There it is. Hopefully you can actually see something. And now we'll just, this is a nice LNER box fan. So we're just going to run it along and just to see where it is in terms. I'm just going to look at the other line. I think it just needs to probably be taken down very, very slightly. So we just need to take off very, very minuscule amount of that, which is slightly annoying because I would rather really like that, to be fair. It's not that bad, but it could come down a bit. The biggest thing is really when it's like this, because we need to make sure we don't catch it with. So you can see that, you can hear that. That's catching on the actual tie bar itself. So I think we just need to cut a tiny bit amount of that off. And as you can see there as well, that's not actually doing, that's not fully throwing the point. So that means we're going to have to re-drill those holes, re-sort out those holes as well. So what we really want is we want it nice and flush against both sides. And that's not doing that. So we're going to have to re-change that. Okay, so I'm just going to have a little look at that for a second, and then we'll get on to the next step and show you what we need to do with that. Okay, so I removed the motor again. Now I just need to cut this down a bit. What I found is actually the actual motor didn't need moving at all because of where I positioned this board. It's actually on this sofa. The pin on the back of the section on the back was actually dragging against the sofa, and that's why it wasn't working. When I actually pulled the ball out and tried it again, the points actually through completely, fully all the way. So I'm very happy with that. So all we need to do now is just cut a section off of this. Now, there are various different ways we can do this. You could do this with a hacksaw. You could do this with a pair of bolt cutters. Probably actually be the best way of doing this. This is a really strong metal, and it's very hard to cut it with a hacksaw. It took me ages. So yeah, so you can try and find some sort of way. All we need to do is just take a very tiny amount off. Obviously, if it was the full size version, which I've mislaid again, then you would need to take off quite a bit more. But at the moment, this is all I need to do is just take a very tiny amount off. You need to be careful that you don't take too much off. I have done that already, which wasn't fun. Now that means another point motor. So that means I need to basically buy another point motor because there isn't any sections thin enough for it, which is rather annoying. But there we go. That's what happens. So yeah, so that's what we've got with this. So let's cut this section off, and then we'll show you again how that looks and refit. Okay, here it is. We've managed to cut it out. So that's pretty good. All it was that I had to hacksaw a bit and then managed to use a pair of pliers just to manage to snap the end off, and then file it down a little bit. So now that we've got this to the right length, I've just tested it as well. We just need to properly install it. So let's redo that again by screwing in the screws, and show you afterwards how that looks. So as you can see, we've got everything set up now. It's back on the right side as well. As you can see, here's the point section. We could paint this to be a nicer color to fit in with this, but as you can see, it's roughly the same height as the actual pin on the outside. Because of the sofa again. There we go. So if I lift it up off the sofa, we've got some good positive throwing there. So let's get our van again, and let's give it another test run and see if it catches still. So that's nice. Let's change it again. Oh, that's good. That's not catching at all. See that? Go straight through. So that's pretty good. So now we just need to do that for the other point motors. Yeah, so let's have a look at that when that's done. So one last thing I thought I would do actually just quickly before we start installing the point motors, apologies, I should have done this first, is what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to install one of the point motors. Well, not install it. I'll show you how to fit the actual section on. So here's inside the point motor, you get a nice sort of set of instructions there, and how to install it. You can see that. So that's not too bad. But what we're going to do is that, so here's the point motor itself. As you can see, you've got two arms there. You've got the three spigots. Now, I would like to point out that I did have a point here just now, actually. There we go, found one. So here's an actual point. So you can, so with the smaller arm ones, these points, these bits here, they can go through, they're designed for N and O. So that one will go through there, and then if you look at the point itself, you've got these 4 slots. It'll be easy to show you once I line it up. If it wants to line up. As you can see, so it's supposed to, they're supposed to just slot through there. These it's very tiny slots, and then that will hold on to the actual motor itself. The reason why they got 6 like this is because the double O gauge point will actually sit flush on both of these ends. So each side of this will, so like this one will actually be this one, and that one would be that one on a double O point. So that's why they're there like that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to install the actual blanking plate onto it. Well, not blanking plate, it's a mounting plate, really. As you saw, what I did installing this motor. So they come in packs of 5, and here it is. It's literally just a piece of plastic with the slots on it. So all we need to do is just make sure that the center slot in the middle there, that's where that goes, the actual fixing itself. And then we just need to slot it over. And as you can see, look at that. That's very nicely slotted over. It's fairly okay. And then all we need to do now is just bend you see there's one. So just bend them like that across, just to sorry, I've taken off the camera, but I'm sure you get the idea, just to bend them in, bend them flat onto there, and there you have it. You have a nice nice, pretty good point motor itself, all ready to go on the actual blanking plate, the actual mounting plate. So yeah, so then once the other end has been done, you could do the middle ones if you wanted to, then we can install them. So let's get on and install some now. Okay, so that's some of the point motors installed. What I'm going to do now is just going to quickly show you the wiring for these. So if you notice on these point motors, I'll just show you one that I haven't installed yet for the point, which will be, this will be for the double slip. See, we've got these little tabs here on the edge on all four corners. They're for the actual wiring, and PECO do sell them in the actual all the wiring itself. So you have a black wire, a red wire, then we have a green one, which is a common return. So you notice it's got two little connections on it. So what we're going to do is that this is just show you how they connect on. So what you do is you connect them on, so they're on like that, and then they just literally just slide down. Something like that. This one for some reason is deciding it doesn't want to slide down. There we go. But what you do is that you put the black one and the red one on the same side, as these will be connected up to the switch to control which way you're throwing the point. If I can get it on. There we go. So that's that one. So that's how they go. And then on the opposite side, all you do is just repeat exactly the same, but have the green one so it's on both sides. Because this is a return, so this is just going to go back to controller, back to the accessory switch. And that's that. What you could do is, if you've got multiple point motors like with these ones and with these ones here, you could actually even connect all of these together and actually have one wire going back to the actual controller for all the point motors. So that's one way you could do that. But yeah, so that's the point motors. That's how they're installed. Still got a few more to install, especially with the double slip. We'll make that a separate video. Also got a continue with the wiring. So that's another thing to do too. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.